The Baseball Together Network presents the Philly Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Jason and Tory. And now, Philly Baseball Together.
All right, it's better late than never. It's Jason. I'm with my friend Tory here. We're going to talk about the postseason and wrap up the year for the Phils.
Boy, what an absolute disaster of a season. I mean, they got swept by the Cubs, and that was kind of the nail in the coffin. Nothing really happened after that at all. I mean, if I talk about just, they didn't make the playoffs. They just completely. Wait, what? Oh, they went to the World Series? Where was I for all of this? I'm kidding, of course. Jason is not giving me anything here, with my riff.
Just let you go.
Yeah, of course. I mean, what a postseason it was. Even if obviously we didn't go all the way, I was so happy for the team, and I was just so happy to keep dancing on my own and all that jazz.
That song took the fan base by storm. I still play it. It's a great song. Never listened to it before the team, but it's a great song.
Yeah, apparently it's like a remix, and I had never listened to the original by Robin, I think is what it was.
Her original's like a dance song, kind of like the remix is.
Yeah.
And then his version is more of like a piano-driven kind of moody song.
That's right. But then didn't they remix the remix or something, or the remake or something?
Yes, the one they were playing was the remix of his cover.
That's right. Because the first time that I heard that they were playing this in the clubhouse, I downloaded the song and I listened to it, and I was like, this is a real interesting choice to be listening to this after wins in the clubhouse. But it was the slow piano version. And I was like, boy, I don't know. I mean, like they really have this. It has this funereal, a feel to it, And then I was like, oh wait, no, this isn't the correct one. That's why, But all right, well, what? All right, thinking that that the Harper home run was in Game 5 of the NLCS is probably going to be number one. What would you say is your number two memory from this postseason?
Okay, there's an interview Harper did post game after they clinched the NLCS.
Mm-hmm.
I forget. I think it might have been with MLB Network, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I think I even sent it to you, where he gets choked up talking about how the city welcomed him and his family and made him feel appreciated and accepted. Him getting choked up saying that got me all in the feels. It's getting me in the feels right now. Because it seems like it comes from a place of genuine love of the team and the fan base in the city. And I don't think he had that in Washington.
I agree with that. It's funny because you would think that since the Nationals are a newer franchise, you would think that it would be easier for them to embrace like somebody who was kind of a big star on their team. But I think Washington kind of did that with Zimmerman and maybe to a lesser extent Strasburg. But I don't think they ever really did that with Harper.
So I have a comparison to make before you continue.
Go ahead.
And I've made this to a few people. Harper with Washington was Weapon X. Harper with the Phillies is Logan.
Wolverine is Logan?
He means more in Philly to the Phillies. He's not just a weapon. He's one of the city and the team.
Interesting. I do like that. I do like that. So, so with Washington, he was Weapon X. With Philadelphia, he's Logan. Is that what you said?
He's not just Wolverine. He's Logan. He's more than just.
I gotcha. Yeah, and I mean, and it's true that I forget if it was on Fox or if or something. They said something to the effect of, well, they couldn't remember seeing like a more perfect match for like a star and a city, and I think that's really true. I think that that Harper I think he really has kind of gelled well with the Philadelphia mindset. And I saw something online. I think it was just yesterday, and I'm not even sure. Nice hat, by the way.
Thank you.
But he's wearing a World Series 2022 hat. Um, but I don't even know because I had trouble hearing it, but it sounded like Dombrowski was telling Harper that he underpaid him or something like that, or the 330 million was an underpay for him.
Yes.
Which I mean, that could very well be true. I mean, I think he kind of paid his contract a little bit with that home run of the NLCS. By the way, I mean, like that was it was bedlam at the bank, the swing of his life, as they said, which was all true. I mean, we'll talk about a great, just a great announcer as well, like with what he said there. So we'll be hearing bedlam at the bank for probably years to come. Also,
Which let's touch on this real quick. The play-by-play team for the NLCS and the World Series. Smoltz got beat up by more than just our fan base. Controversial statement. I don't think he's terrible. I think he needs, and it's something I said multiple times in our group chat, I think he needs to let the game breathe. He doesn't have to talk constantly.
It's funny because like I watched all the games, but for whatever reason, I don't know when he's the one talking. I don't recognize his voice yet. So like, I mean, people are like, he just never shuts up, and I'm like, yeah, him.
He doesn't.
Like, but I couldn't answer that because I just don't know which one he is. Like when he's
their voices are a little similar.
Yeah, and but let's actually maybe go back and talk through the like let's start with the Cardinals series. I had said, and for whatever reason, I don't think that episode was ever posted, but I had said to you in that first episode, I said, we're going to sweep the Cardinals. We were only about an hour away from game time at the time. And I said, we were going to sweep the Cardinals, and we did,
You did. You
Then
said
they,
it, and I went with I went with the split series, so you own it.
Yeah, that's right. And then I remember like when we got past the Cards, and all the Braves fans were talking smack, saying like it was going to be an easy series for them, like a 3-game sweep. They were all saying, and everything, and I said like I don't think so. I think the Phillies are going to shock the Braves, and I think they're going to win in 4. And I was right.
Well,
Now
go
ahead.
One thing real quick. I have to make an announcement.
Sure.
Braves fans have usurped Nats fans as the most annoying fan base in baseball.
Ooh, that's a statement. I have to say, after this postseason, I mean, and it's funny because like I wasn't that annoyed with Padres fans. I wasn't super annoyed with Cardinals fans. I was annoyed. You are right. I did get annoyed talking with Braves fans, and I was incredibly annoyed by Astros fans. Like, I mean, to me, the Astros fans are the ones that have become like they're the king. They're the top right now, and true, they have a reason to talk smack a little bit, and they have the title in 2017. And then they have this, more legitimate title in 2022. But I don't know. Like, I mean,
Braves fans are still going on about how the Phils didn't deserve to be there. So,
yeah, that was annoying. Where they were like, what?
Third place team shouldn't be in there.
Third place team, and we had 5 days off. Yeah. And like, yeah, well, how terrible how must it be for you to be able to set your lineup and for all your players to rest and everything? I mean, it's the worst. I mean, you're right. Yes, I mean, like they definitely they definitely got into it a lot with that. It's funny because I went to the Padres subreddit a couple of times during the series, and I did not see a lot of smack. I really did not see a lot of smack from from Padres fans, but Braves fans, yeah, like it was a week later, and they still were salty. They were like, and we didn't even get any night games, you know.
So I guess we got to talk about this now since you mentioned subreddits.
Mm.
I got banned from the Braves subreddit, and I had a 3-day suspension from the Phillies subreddit.
Yeah, and I don't understand that, but
because the guy that I got into it with on the Braves subreddit complained to the Phillies subreddit about me, and I had to appeal my lifetime ban on the Phillies subreddit.
A lifetime ban? I do not understand. Well, whatever. But in any case, I'm glad that you're back on the Phillies subreddit. You know, and I do remember. I did see like on the Braves subreddit, somebody posted and they said like, well, you know, the MLB deserves a Braves Dodgers NLCS, and I was like, why do they deserve another one of those? You know, I mean, like this is, and to be honest, the Phillies Padres NLCS was a lot closer than it looked. You know, the Phillies won in 5 games, but it was closer than that.
Tory, I didn't sit down for that last game. I was pacing back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
There were moments I just walked out of the room because I couldn't watch. I was that stressed out watching it.
I was so stressed out, and my wife we have a hot tub, and my wife got in it, and she was like, do you want to get in with me? And I was like, nope, I have to pace. I just have to pace, you know. And I just walked back and forth and everything. And that was when Dominguez was throwing all of those wild pitches and everything. And I was like, and I mean, it looked pretty bleak at that time. You know, and I thought I was so mad because the weather was awful. I mean, the rain was pouring down and everything, and Dominguez clearly couldn't get a grip on the ball. But I say that, but obviously these are things that Yu Darvish had to deal with also, as well as you know, some of the other relievers that came in at that part. But kudos to, I mean, Real Muto getting that single before Harper came up and setting up the game-winning home run. Yes. Which I think I've only watched that video maybe 50 times so far, you know, of the Harper home run. I mean, but other than that, you know, I think I'd got to say the inside the park home run from Real Muto against the Braves is up there. The Hoskins bat spike against the Braves is also up there. I was at that game. The crowd was absolutely like electric. I mean, the place was pumping.
I jumped out of my chair. I was hyped. Jamie was hyped. She sat on the couch with me for every game. She doesn't always watch every game during the season, but postseason, she's there right beside me. And ladies and gentlemen, she is worse than I am.
Really?
Yes. She is worse than I am.
You know, and it's funny. I wish I could get Lindsay to care, my wife, about it, but she just does not care about baseball and about sports. I don't think she quite understands, you know, like the draw that sports has on people, which is a shame because, you know, I would love for her to get, you know, into the sport. So I'm glad that you know that Jamie is right there with you. But I did watch. I watched a couple of the games with my dad, who is probably a bigger fan than I am, and of course I also watched Game 6 of the World Series with him too. But you know, we won't talk about that. But yeah,
which let's tear this Band-Aid off. How classless was it of Fox during Game 6 to put up a graphic with Joe Carter?
Oh, I know.
I almost threw my remote.
I actually averted my eyes because I knew it was coming. You know, like, and I was like, I don't want to watch this. You know, but you know, it's funny because I think they said with something like we just made half of our audience really mad or something like that too, and I was like, come on, you know. But I mean, it is what it is, you know. I mean, 93 was tough. And obviously it was tough for a 9-year-old little boy like I was at the time. So yeah, I definitely wish that they would have just not showed that.
Yeah, I was but a few days away from being 9 when Game 6 happened in
Mhm.
'93. Um, this one hurt just as much for
You know,
different reasons. For different reasons.
go on.
93 hurt because it was the first time in our lives since we had been alive that we got to see the Phils in the World Series.
Yeah. And I didn't at the time I didn't realize that, you know, because I was 9 years old, and I was just kind of like, "Oh, cool," you know, like this baseball team I like is going for the whole thing. Like the gravity of it didn't really hit as hard. So maybe like back when I think about 93, like, you know, I look back with like maybe like a more I don't know. I don't know what word I want to think about or what word I want to say, but it's not as bad for me because one, I was young. Two, I didn't really understand the pain of being a Philadelphia sports fan yet. I do now. Boy, do I now. You know. Um, for me, this is the first time that I think that I remember really feeling the hurt of being a Philadelphia sports fan was, and I won't go too far in depth into this, but in 2000 when the Flyers lost they were a win away from the Stanley Cup. They were up 3-1 against the Devils. They lost 3 in a row, and then they missed the Stanley Cup. That was the first time that I remember being like a Philly fan, having my heart ripped out. You know, which is funny because like it should be 93, but I think I was just too young to understand. But looking
Get
back
it?
on it now with a more critical eye, like that, and we talked about this the other day. Now you said that you thought this year was a more winnable World Series. I think 93 was the more winnable World Series out of the
I
ones
think
recently that we've lost.
I think I think Topper is a better manager and therefore more adept to make better decisions because the decision to put Mitch in at that point in the game
Hmm.
was a mistake in
Well,
hindsight.
what
And it
was
was probably a mistake then.
well, and I mean, let's talk. Let me ask you this then: would you have taken Wheeler out of Game 6 of the World Series this year?
This is one of those things where you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't because if you keep Wheeler in and he gives up those runs,
Yeah,
you're raked over the coals for leaving him in.
that's true.
You
Like, you
took him
know,
out
Grady
and
Little
those
with
runs
Pedro
still.
Martinez in '03 kind of thing.
So I
Um,
mean, we I understand Topper sticking with what worked because again, same thing. No matter what happens, if Wheeler doesn't get out of that inning and you put those runs on the board, he's going to get the same criticism he got no matter what.
it's true. But I mean, Jordan Alvarez absolutely raked against left-handed pitching. He was a better hitter against left-handers than he was right, and he had struggled in the series up to that point. He really only had that. He had that hit, you know, the monster 3-run bomb. And but before that, I mean, he wasn't looking like as the Astros fans call him, your daddy. You know, I don't know if you've.
I did not see that,
Yeah,
but
but yeah, that's what they call him.
can we acknowledge the fact that as soon as the Astros start losing, there's going to be no one in that ballpark?
Oh, I know. Well, you know, I went back, but you know, and to be fair, you know, that's true really for any team. I will say, but but you're right though because like I went back and I looked at their attendance from back when they lost about in the early 2010s when they were losing like 100 games and their attendance was about half of what it is right now. You know, it was over like now it's over about 3 million. Back then it was probably closer to like 1.5 million for the whole season. I mean,
Yeah.
um, And boy, you know that, but that is one thing that I wanted to mention also was attendance. I was worried when September rolled around, and or actually rather October, I guess, really rolled around, and attendance was still kind of lagging a little bit for the Phillies. And I think I understand why. I think it's because we had gotten so close in 19, 20, 21, and even 18, and we kind of fell off. I think that the fans were nervous. I think they were
Yes.
like, I don't want to get hurt again, which is very understandable, I feel like. But as soon as they made the playoffs, I mean, like I said, I was at Game 3 of the NLDS against the Braves, and that place was rocking. I mean, it was, yeah, especially when Hoskins hit the 3-run homer, and Harper hit the 2-run homer in that inning. I mean, it was just like a bomb went off. Um, and I think I saw actually online, like during that whole little bit, they got 5 hits on 5 pitches, 5 pitches in a row.
Yes.
So it was
There's
just
a
kinda
great John Boy breakdown for all of
I think
that.
that's where I got that from. Yeah, that's right, from John Boy. Um, but man, it was it was a postseason to remember, though. It really was. Even if
It
we didn't, even if
was,
we just fell quite short,
but in saying that, I think there's a lot to look forward to for next season. Obviously,
Mhm.
there's some moves that have to be made. And I think if the
Yes.
right moves are made, I think we're right back there. And I'm not saying that being a homer, I'm saying it looking at what that team accomplished, how they rallied together. And there was a tweet someone had about how post game after game 6, what was it, Hoskins, Schwarber,
Oh, I saw
Castellanos,
that too.
Stott, and Bohm sat in a circle talking about the season
Hmm.
and sharing a beer. That's
Yep,
the
I did
level
see
of
that.
camaraderie that few teams have.
It's true, especially after losing, the World Series. You would think that, they would save that for like another day. They would kind of like, pack it all in and everything, and then just leave and go back to the hotel. But like, so I was, and Stott actually apparently watched the Astros celebrate. I don't know if you saw that video. He sat on the bench and kind of watched them. So I hope he keeps that in his brain, and he uses that for as fuel, for the future.
It's hard for
Um,
me to talk about after that game because Jamie showed me a picture of Bryce in the dugout crying. And it,
mhm.
even just talking about it, kills me because
I
that's a
don't think
guy
I
who
saw that
wants it
one.
so bad. You
I
don't want to
know.
see it. You do not want to see it.
No, and even and it's funny because even after he hit the home run in the NLCS, I mean, you could tell like that that was great for him, but that he wanted more. And I think what he said was in the one interview something to the effect of, well, everybody dreams about hitting home runs in the postseason, but it's not the NLCS that they dream about hitting the home runs in. It's the World Series.
Right.
And I mean, kudos to him and his first at bat at Citizens Bank Park. What does he do? He bops one. I mean, like a bad bleep. We can, if I can't say that on here, we can cut that out.
No, I think you
But
bleeping yourself is sufficient.
okay, good, yeah.
He's
Um,
only talking about Shaft.
yes. Shaft. Ooh, that's a big man. Um, but yeah, I mean, like it does stink, and I am a little worried, I guess, about because see, obviously he's having surgery. I can't remember if he's already done, if
Tomorrow.
it's in a couple of days. Tomorrow, okay.
Tomorrow.
And so we have no clue how long he's going to be out for next year. But
Well,
go ahead.
the belief is that even if he has to have Tommy John, because he's not a pitcher,
Hmm.
the rehab and the healing process isn't quite the same for a fielder as it would be a pitcher.
Oh, that's good. Because we obviously want him back as soon as we can get him. Um, but so what do you think of the odds that we get one of these 4 shortstops?
Well, I mean, we're linked to Bogarts and we're linked to Turner. Here's my thought. I think whoever we get, they're playing second base. I think they want Stott at short.
Really? Interesting.
And I think whomever they're going to get is going to play second base, which then leans more towards Turner, who played more time at second base than he has at shortstop.
Can Bogarts play the outfield? I think he can, can't he? If need be.
I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I think Turner fits this club better. Now, with all that said, if they don't get Bogarts or Turner and they get Swanson, I'm going to enjoy the Braves fans' tears.
Yes, that would be nice, I admit. And I think Swanson would be a great fit in Philadelphia also. But I think Harper's been pushing for Turner, but Harper doesn't.
Well, he pushed
always...
for
What?
Like he pushed for JT. He pushed for Schwarber. I mean,
But he also pushed for Chris Bryant, and thank God that didn't work out.
Bullet there.
right.
Sorry,
and,
Rockies.
Who would think that we'd be saying that? 6 years ago he was MVP. I mean, and what and that's something that I wanted to mention also with Harper. Excuse me. It's good to see him playing at such a peak level for so long, because when you look at people like Bryant or Cody Bellinger, I mean that they were good for like a couple of years, then they kind of fell off a cliff a little bit. And even Alex Bregman isn't really the player that he was when he was a little bit younger. So it's kind of strange to me a little bit that these players, they can come up and they can be big, and then all of a sudden, I don't know if the league figures them out or what happens, and then they just kind of fade away. But Harper's still right there, even with Castellanos protecting him in the lineup. We need to do something about that next year.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, you got to think though, if we get Turner leads off. You can put Schwarber
at fifth.
Yeah, you can rearrange that lineup to protect.
I think
Harper.
I would definitely put Turner leading off, and then I would probably keep Hoskins still batting second. Maybe. Well, maybe see what kind of a year. Let's see how Stott does, because I think he could be a good batter to hit second also. But you don't want to have like power at the end of the lineup, because that's a lot of strikeouts also, like in a row. Right. So we'll see what happens when we get these guys, because I don't think Bogarts would lead off if we get him, but he's 30, I think. So I don't know if I'd be wary of signing him long term though. Also,
I think we also gotta, before we wrap this up here, because we are getting a little short on time, the pitching situation. I think it's a given that Painter's coming up.
I hope so.
So you're probably looking at him as number 5. So we need to pick up someone for number 4.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, the pipe dream is Rodon. But
he's the guy I kind of want to see them sign.
My only fear is that he's had 2 good years, but before that he was really he was more down than up, which worries me, because like then I worry that what if he was only playing for a contract? What if so I would almost rather like they got somebody with that had more of like a sustained level of success in his career, like a Charlie Morton or something like that. I know he's not on the market, but somebody like that. But I think, again, I mean, I it's one of these things though where it would be up to, I guess, whatever the team wants or whatever the team could get. And who knows? I mean, maybe we'll even be maybe even next year. This is not going to happen. Maybe we'll be able to punch Aaron Judge in batting 5th or something next year.
I don't see that.
Right. That's not happened. No, that's not happened.
Now I did see us. There was a rumor that someone from the team reached out to Verlander.
I would 100% love to see that, because I do think Verlander is I think he'd play very well in Philadelphia. So would Kate
I think
Upton.
he would bring something for a guy like Painter or a guy like Ranger, who are still young and have a lot to give to the team for years to come.
And I really think that Verlander could still pitch at a high level, even though he's so old. I think he could easily pitch.
He's so old. He's a year older than us. Can we stress that?
Hey!
He's a year older than us.
I know, but we have to look at the truth, though. When you're playing professional sports, if you're 39, you are ancient. But yeah, I mean, heck, and well, look at it this way though. He also does not have the wear and tear on his arm right now, because he didn't play from when he was 37 and 38, obviously. So I mean, that helps. And also, I mean, I would think that our window is going to be open a little bit longer to win now. I don't know if you heard, but that the Phillies, so they extended Dombrowski today.
Yes, that was just
until 2027, I think.
Yes.
So that means they're looking to win at least through then, which is great, because I would love to see like some sustained success. I don't want this just to be a one and done World Series run.
And that's my biggest fear.
Yeah. You don't want to be 1993. As good as 1993 was, they were, I hate to say this, that it was kind of a flash in the pan.
That's the exact phrase I was thinking of.
Yeah. I mean, it was like they were a great team. Everything like broke well for them, but it was then I think injuries kind of caught up with them like right away.
Well, that happens with steroids.
Yes, they were on steroids. What?
Well, Lenny was on more than just steroids.
Yeah, I mean, Lenny, I missed the day. He would have been such a great center fielder on this team, I think. Like in his prime, 1993, Lenny Dykstra.
Lenny
oh my
could never
gosh.
play in the modern game.
You don't
because
think?
He is a PR liability.
Well, that's true. I mean, obviously in 93, like there wasn't Twitter or anything like that where like every move was documented. But yeah, Lenny, man.
Well, I guess we should probably wrap this up.
All right.
We both have to. A little behind the curtain. We do this on our lunch break.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
We got to kind of wrap this up.
That's what we have to do. That's why these are all so short. We do them during lunch.
So real quick, you can catch me on the Not Another Sports podcast every other week with my best friend David for some general sports talk and merriment. And the weeks I don't do the Not Another Sports podcast, you can find me on the Apple Podcast charted Rock and Randy's Pro Wrestling Outlaws podcast. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I don't have my usual spiel up. So I was just going to say, yeah, you can find me also on, I have my singing podcast, my singing on YouTube channel. I'm the bearded bald baritone. I actually just uploaded a song today. It was a classic Jim Croce song from the 70s called
that song makes me cry.
Time in a Bottle. Isn't that such a great song though?
It's on Logan's bedtime playlist.
Oh, I could definitely see that. Yeah. And I mean, it's funny because the song was never meant to be released, but it was released by his record company posthumously after he passed, and which kind of makes it a little eerie, but But anyways,
an amazing singer-songwriter.
Yes, he was from South Philadelphia too.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's it for this year.
Yeah, we'll be back in less than 3 months.
Well, I guess that's true. That's true. And hopefully we'll have a lot of big signings to talk about. Trey Turner playing short next year. Aaron Judge has decided that he's going to be DH and left fielder. Verlander has decided that he will join the team. Carlos Rodon is joining, but he's just going to pitch out of the bullpen. I did hear something about the ghost of Babe Ruth taking over Castellanos. I can't confirm that. I'll have to talk to Tom Verducci. Anyway, I'll let you do the sign off though.
With that, this episode's out of here. We'll be dancing on our own.
Out of here.